In 1904, the scientific consensus regarding atomic structure was defined by J.J. Thomson's plum pudding model. Physicists understood the atom as a diffuse sphere of uniform positive charge, populated by negatively charged electrons. Around this time, researchers had isolated the alpha particle, a product of radioactive decay carrying a massive atomic weight and high kinetic energy, roughly 7,000 times more massive than an electron. If you were to fire an alpha particle at an atom, Thomson's model predicted a very specific outcome. The massive projectile would pass straight through the diffuse positive charge with negligible deflection. Thomson's prediction followed the internal logic of classical electromagnetism. Because the positive charge was spread across the entire volume of the atom, the resulting electric fields remained too weak to alter the momentum of such a heavy, fast-moving particle. Under the established rules of classical physics, a significant deflection of an alpha particle was kinematically impossible. By 1909, the focus of atomic research shifted to Ernest Rutherford's physical laboratory at the University of Manchester. Here, researchers Hans Geiger and Ernest Marsden observed an extreme statistical anomaly. When firing a beam of alpha particles at a thin metal target, roughly 1 in 8,000 particles violently ricocheted backward. Rather than passing cleanly through the diffuse sphere of positive charge, a fraction of these projectiles were hitting a localized electrostatic force massive enough to reverse their momentum entirely. Rutherford famously equated the result to firing a 15-inch artillery shell at a piece of tissue paper and having it bounce straight back at you. This single statistical anomaly invalidated the diffuse atomic model. If an alpha particle could bounce backward, the mass of the atom could not be spread out. It had to be consolidated into a point of immense density. Gathering all this data required physical labor. Geiger and Marsden conducted their 1908 experiments in total darkness, relying on the human eye to detect particle impacts. Because alpha particles are invisible, the researchers used a zinc sulfide screen. When a particle struck this screen, it transferred its kinetic energy into a microscopic flash of light, a scintillation, counted manually through a microscope. To isolate the particle beam, Geiger and Marsden designed the precise experimental apparatus diagrammed here. Alpha particles emitted from a radioactive source passed through a narrow slit, traveling down an evacuated tube until they impacted the target material. Gold was selected for the target because of its extreme malleability. This allowed researchers to hammer the metal into uniform foils just a fraction of a millimeter thick, ensuring particles interacted with the minimum number of atomic layers. By restricting the interaction to a highly controlled, thin cross-section of matter, the researchers eliminated confounding variables. This proved the deflection was a fundamental property of the individual atoms, not a byproduct of bulk material. In 1909, the team refined their setup to measure reflection rates across varying thicknesses of gold foil. This published chart plots scintillations recorded per second against the number of gold foil layers used. The upward trend demonstrates that extreme scattering occurred not just at the surface, but throughout the entire volume of the material. Defenders of Thomson's diffuse model proposed a counter-argument. An alpha particle might be making a series of minor deflections across multiple atoms, eventually accumulating enough small turns to result in a 180-degree reflection. Rutherford rejected this hypothesis statistically. The gold foil used was extremely thin. It simply did not contain enough atomic layers to facilitate the 10,000 successive collisions required to turn a particle around. With multiple collisions ruled out, the massive deflection had to result from a single highly concentrated force encountered during a direct collision with one atom. Rutherford then approached the problem theoretically. What specific configuration of electrostatic force is required to completely halt and reverse a high-momentum alpha particle? As the positively charged particle approaches the center of the atom, it experiences a repulsive force, gradually converting its forward kinetic energy into electrostatic potential energy. Rutherford used this energy exchange equation to calculate the closest approach. The math revealed a strict boundary. The force required a positive charge concentrated within a radius of 3.4 times 10 to the negative 14th meters. At the time, the known radius of a gold atom was 10 to the negative 10th meters. the central charge responsible for the deflection was at least 3,000 times smaller than the atom itself. Rutherford concluded that almost the entire mass and positive charge of the atom must be locked into a central, microscopic point charge volume. This single energetic calculation established the concept of the atomic nucleus. It proved that the solid matter of our universe is in reality 99.999% empty space. Rutherford's 1911 mathematical predictions now required rigorous empirical verification across multiple variables. To test the theory, Geiger and Marsden constructed a new, highly precise apparatus in 1913, featuring a microscope and screen mounted on a rotating cylinder, capable of counting scintillations across a full 360-degree spectrum. Through exhaustive testing, they confirmed their first variable. The rate of scattering scaled directly in proportion to the thickness of the target foil. Next, by swapping the gold targets for tin, silver, copper, and aluminum, they proved the scattering rate was proportional to the square of the target's central charge, linking the deflection strictly to atomic weight. Finally, they tackled the angular dependence of the scattered particles. When the actual measured data points were overlaid onto Rutherford's theoretical curve, the alignment was exact. The mathematical theory and the experimental data matched flawlessly. The nuclear model of the atom was now an undeniable physical reality. The scattering data demanded a complete architectural redesign of the elements, the Rutherford atom. This structure featured a highly dense, positively charged core, separated by a vast expanse of empty space from the negatively charged electrons orbiting at the outer limits. However, this new model contained a fatal theoretical flaw. While it perfectly accounted for the alpha particle scattering data, it directly violated the established laws of physics. Specifically, the physical behavior required to keep the electrons in orbit was mathematically impossible under Maxwell's equations of classical electrodynamics. Accepting the empirical truth of the nuclear model created an irreconcilable conflict. The scattering data proved the existence of the nucleus, even though classical physics could not account for the stability of the orbiting electrons. The paradox stems from a basic physical principle. An electron traveling in a circular orbit experiences constant centripetal acceleration. These handwritten notes illustrate the problem. Under Maxwell's rules of electrodynamics, accelerated charges must continuously radiate electromagnetic energy. If the orbiting electron emits energy as a wave, it cannot maintain a stable orbit. As it loses kinetic energy, its orbital radius must shrink. Calculations showed that under classical physics, this orbital collapse would take roughly 10 to the negative 8th seconds. If the Rutherford model were strictly bound by classical mechanics, all matter in the universe would instantly self-destruct. Faced with this impossibility, Rutherford trusted the unassailable scattering data over classical dogma. This irreconcilable paradox demanded a completely new set of physical laws, directly leading to the invention of quantum mechanics by Niels Bohr just 2 years later.